Über 10 Jahre ist es nun her, seit Richard Linklater mit dem Langzeitfilm Boyhood auf der Berlinale den Silbernen Bären für die beste Regie gewann. Nun kehrt er mit Blue Moon zurück. Wie immer überrascht er das Publikum, diesmal mit einem historischen Film in Echtzeit. Er schildert die Premierenfeier zum legendären Musical Oklahoma am 31. März 1943. Ethan Hawke spielt Lawrence Hart, den Songwriter des Musicals, dessen Leben an diesem Abend völlig aus der Bahn gerät. Andrew Scott ist als sein ehemaliger Partner, Komponist Richard Rogers zu sehen. Sehen Sie jetzt die Pressekonferenz zu einem Film über wahres Künstlertum und den Preis, der dafür manchmal zu zahlen ist. Blue Moon.
Elizabeth.
Larry!
My irreplaceable Elizabeth.
I'm so happy to see you. Do you like the hair?
I love it. It's much better than the red.
I think so.
I mean, I like the red too, but this is much more otherworldly.
I have to go set up for the party.
No, I got you some flowers.
Aw, I'm overwhelmed.
Well, I have that effect on people.
I have so much to tell you.
Like what?
I've been writing in my journal again.
I hope you let me read it. No, the big one.
And these are what Richard Rogers is getting. Larry.
What?
My mother would die if she saw this.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the press conference of Blue Moon. We are really delighted to hold the world premiere of the film as part of our competition. And now I will introduce our guests from left to right. Yes, thank you. He has starred in a diverse range of projects across film, television, and theater, earning dozens of awards for his performances. His film credits include the acclaimed All of Us Strangers, 1917, Spectre, Denial, Alice Through the Looking Glass, Jimmy's Hall, and Pride. He won a BAFTA for his performance in Sherlock, and his television work includes the international hit Fleabag, as well as Black Mirror, his Dark Materials, Modern Love, The Hollow Crown, and Ripley. Please welcome Andrew Scott. Over the past decade, she has become one of the most recognized and acclaimed actors on screen. Following a standout performance in Gia Coppola's Palo Alto, she went on to appear in The Leftovers, The Nice Guys, Native Son, and Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. More recently, she starred in the last two films by Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things and Kinds of Kindness, before delivering a brilliant, award-winning performance in The Substance. Please welcome Margaret Qualley. He has appeared in over 100 films, theater and television productions, directed 5 feature films, and won more than 70 awards. His collaboration with Richard Linklater has brought to life some of the most beautiful films of our time, including the Before trilogy and Boyhood. He first gained recognition in Dead Poets Society and has since delivered outstanding performances in Reality Bites, Gattaca, Great Expectations, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, Maggie's Plan, First Reformed, The Black Phone, The Northman, and many, many more. Please welcome Ethan Hawke. He has directed 25 feature films, received 5 Oscar nominations, and won 2 Golden Globes and 2 BAFTAs. His work was first presented at the Berlinale in competition in 1995 with Before Sunrise, which earned him the Best Director Award. The sequels Before Sunset and Before Midnight also premiered in Berlin. In 2013, he was honored with the Berlinale Camera. And the following year, Boyhood won him another Silver Bear for Best Director. Please welcome Richard Linklater. Okay. I see you have many questions, so we start with the floor. Can we bring the mic over there, please? Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Congratulations. Wow. What a film. Had to be the first person to say it. Out of New York Pop Matters. I have a question actually for all of you, starting with Mr. Linklater. This is a chamber piece, a seemingly deceptively easy film to digest, but it seems to cut very, very deep and to tell an entire history. My question for all of you is, what history is this? What history is it telling? Thank you.
History is it telling? Well, on one hand, it's one night in the life of Lorenz Hart on this, opening night of Oklahoma. But I've always loved this period so much, the 30s and 40s, musical theater, the craftsmanship of it. And I think our goal with this movie was to, if it could be like a Rodgers and Hart song too, the song craft, if it could be beautiful and kind of sad and funny and, all these things all at the same time. So I don't know if that's answering your question, but history, it's one night in their life, 82 years ago. But all these years later, we're still talking about it. So, I don't know.
All right, we have another question there. Yeah.
Yeah, hi everybody, this is Mark Karapetian, publisher of Spirit, A Smile in the Storm, my film magazine I do since my 16th living year, and what a classy and heartbreaking masterpiece. Really, I was so touched. My question goes to Ethan Hawke, but just I want to tell Margaret, I love your dog. My first dog was also a toy poodle called Habibi. What's the name of your dog? You can tell. And Ethan, 30 years ago, we met at the Zoopalast before sunrise and did cool pictures with my magazine. So it's a long journey and you become an international star. But this role is really not fishing for compliments for me, the performance of your life. How did you prepare to play this part? Thank you.
The truthful answer to that is it takes a lifetime. How I was thinking about that. You prepare for a part like this by playing Macbeth. You prepare for a part like this by it's an what Robert Kaplow wrote for us, this absolutely beautiful script that, if done right, we imagined it's basically a film that's one scene. It starts and all the dominoes fall in one gesture. And if it could have that simplicity, but to make the verbiage come alive, to make the dynamics, the musical quality that Rick's talking about. When is it fast? When is it slow? When is it arresting? When is it heartbreaking? When is it stupid? How can it keep changing? Stupid in a good way, silly. It takes a long time to understand the dynamics at play, I think, for me. Because I could say, oh, I prepared by shaving my head, or I prepared by listening to Lorenz Hart songs, but that's not really the truth. It's a long time of figuring out how to stage scenes and how to make a 7-page, 11-page scene dynamic enough for you to watch it and for it, to not fall flat. It takes a long time to understand those kind of dynamics. And this character that Robert created has so many opposites. That's what really turned me on about it. He's very small and he's huge. He's a lover and he's lonely. He's deeply insecure and wildly confident. And I love those opposites make life more realistic somehow to me. It creates dynamics. So, I don't know, I think that's the answer.
Hello, it's Natalia Zhuk from Carta Berlin. First of all, thank you. It's a real true masterpiece in every word, every glance. I mean, I've seen a lot of films, but this one is just out there. I'm a huge theater fan as well. I go to London like every 2 weeks for a month. And for me, it was really authentic in terms of theater world. Could you comment a bit how you brought us, because Ethan and Andrew, you've got experience in theater, huge experience. How did you bring your knowledge of theater world from inside to this role? And also how you worked with this script in terms of text, because the text is so perfect and you revived it. Yeah. And Andrew, I don't know if I have a chance to tell this sometime later, but you're one of the people I turned a theater critic for. And Vanya and Hamlet and Present Laughter is the pieces that are forever in my heart. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. That's very kind of you.
You want to answer that?
Yeah, I'll give that a go.
Yeah.
Well, it's something we talked an awful lot about. I suppose one of the things we spoke a lot about was creative friendships, and certainly in the theatre, I think, you know, the theatre gives birth to so many creative friendships that are slightly different, I think, to the ones that you make perhaps on movie sets. But the film is set on an opening night, and one of the things that we were very concerned about was how do you make a conversation that is supposed to be sort of laden with history and love and emotion, and how do you conduct a conversation like that in the midst of the opening night of one of the biggest musicals that's ever lived? And what happens, I think, is that you're interrupted, and many of us have been in those situations where there's a premiere of a film or the opening night of a play, and it's a very, very extraordinary atmosphere on those nights, because you're incredibly vulnerable, but you're also strangely elated. You're frightened, but you're also completely exhilarated. And I think it's so interesting that these extraordinary dynamics are existing as the sort of theatre showbiz train continues. That you're having these stolen moments of heartbreak and lust and love and bitterness and real affection happening as people are interrupting you. And we talked a lot about the sort of choreography of that as well, didn't we?
Yeah, just trying to make it feel real in its space, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, over there. Yeah.
Good morning, Márcio Salem from Brazil. Who wants inoffensive art? Larry asks at a certain point in the film. And yet, Hollywood and Broadway have been built upon that same inoffensive art that appeals to Greeks and Trojans. And it got worse with streaming and social media standardization of public taste. What are the challenges you, Mr. Hawke, and you, Mr. Linklater, face to deconstruct that same taste with art that truly defies? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, jump in. What's the question?
Yeah, I wasn't sure the question. It felt a lot like a compliment.
I'll take it.
Inoffensive art. I mean, we're all dealing with that, right? I mean, I don't think I have anything original to say about that.
I don't know. Well, we all like all kinds of art. You know, sometimes I like inoffensive art, but sometimes you need to be, I don't know. What did we make here? Is this inoffensive art? It's not itself offensive, I don't think. But, I don't know. Art's always going to...
I feel like we should, if it was 2 in the morning and we were having a piece of pie, I could talk about that for 4 hours. But I don't have anything smart and witty to say about it.
Okay, so let's move on. You have a question there. Yeah.
I liked it, though. I liked what you said.
Hello. Catalina Neonea, magazine Conștiința from Romania. Congratulations, first of all, for a great film. I've just seen it at the press screening in Berlinale Palace just now, and the audience laughed, applauded. It was just an incredibly entertaining film, although with a strong theatrical character and with a lot of juicy, interesting dialogues and monologues with intertextual references. And Mr. Hawke, your character in the film makes more than just one references to Casablanca, maybe the most famous film in the world. And he quotes what for him is the best and the worst line from Casablanca. If you were to choose the best and the worst line from this film, Blue Moon.
Ooh, wow. Robert Kaplow, are you here? Yeah,
Quick.
Robert, what's the best line in our movie? Huh?
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one. I love the line, and I'm going to get it wrong, but beware of love stories. Pay attention to friendship. It's more enduring.
Yeah. The advice he gives to George Roy.
Yeah, I found that really moving. But strangely, my favorite moment is probably a silent moment, which is when you two leave me. It's like it's strange to watch a movie about heartbreak when everyone is actually trying to be kind. It's one of the things that I really love about Richard Linklater's films is that they love people. That you're seeing human beings in all their frailty, but with the respect and honor. The film seems to like the people. And these hearts are getting broken, but people are all being kind to one another. They're trying, and we still get hurt. And I find that kind of profound. We see a lot of movies where people are trying to hurt each other. And a lot of my daily life is more like the movie where people are trying and they still hurt each other. So do you guys have a favorite line?
I think you did a
I did
good
it.
job. Did you? Okay.
Okay, we have a question there. Yeah.
Hello, I'm David Martos for Quinótico in Spain. I'm afraid I have a follow-up question to my colleagues because I wanted to ask you about offensive art. Don't you think that in this dark times, art should be offensive or even challenging or even a spark in the middle of darkness? What do you think?
Yeah, well, that sounds good. Offensive times conjure up offensive art, maybe, yeah. But art's, I mean, movies particularly have always been escapism. And in our movie, he's accusing Oklahoma of being kind of escapist in the middle of the horrors of World War II. So, I don't know. I think most human psyches want to escape a little bit and to, you know, I don't know. But there's probably less offensive art now than there has been in the past.
One of the dangers of offensive art, I mean, if we want to talk about like great punk music or Brecht, there's some early Brecht plays are kind of punk in their sensibility, and some of the great offensive art is audiences have to care. They don't sell. You guys, the community, has to make it important. For offensive art to have a place in our conversation, it has to be cared about. And when we prioritize money at all costs, what we get is generic material that appeals to the most amount of people, and we're told that's the best. And so it's a dance we all do together. You know, if you love offensive art and you want it, then demand it, and you'll get it. It'll get made. Right now, people don't think they'll make any money off of it, so it doesn't get made.
Well, it depends on what offends you, too.
Yeah.
I'm offended by most movies.
Hello, thank you for, it's Yannis Rauzos from myfilm.gr, Greece. Thank you so much about this film and all your performances. It seems to me that this film has two things as key points, let's say. One is the chamber cinema work of Ingmar Bergman. The second one, there is a referation that has to do a lot with Shakespeare, and it's very beautiful that you mention inside. We are made of dreams, and somehow we are inside a great stage. In this stage, how much this triangle of characters, especially Mr. Hawke and Miss Qualley, and also Andrew Scott, Miss Qualley, and Ethan Hawke works. And as a finishing of my question, how much the long shot that you use supports the ignition of feelings after the second part of this remarkable work? Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. What's the question? I mean, we workshopped this a lot. We rehearsed a long time, and we weren't adapting a play. You know, this is very intimate. It's a chamber film in a way, but we're not adapting it from the theater. Even though in itself it kind of unfolds like a play, maybe in the way you perceive it, but it's very intimate. They're doing this for each other. They're not performing for, it's not for an audience. There's an audience of one, usually, each other in this. So, yeah, it was a very intimate experience, but I don't know. I just felt so blessed to be working with actors who cared and were so smart and worked so hard. And, you know, I don't think anyone's ever done anything but this. You sit down and, like, how do we take this wicked piece of writing and make it real to us? You know, it's that simple. It's what Bergman did. It's what everybody has ever done. So you just do your best with what's, you know, what you're feeling, you know. So I don't know if that answers.
Okay, we have a question in the back, yeah.
Hi, Hossein Fahmy, film critic from Egypt. The question to director Richard Linklater. So once again, Unfulfilled love is appearing in your film. It's also appearing in many other novels, movies, songs. Why do you think Unfulfilled love is much more interesting than Fulfilled love?
Wow. Well, I think that's what Lorenz Hart is, the ultimate lyricist of unfulfilled love. That's what makes it so enduring. I think we all feel that. You know, it's more poignant. But yeah, love, you know, this film's about, you know, it's about relationships and art, but it's also about love, and it's, you know, impossibilities maybe and complexities. So I don't know. It's something we're all interested in forever.
James Kleinman from the Queer Review, and a question for Andrew, if you could talk a bit about your approach to playing your character, particularly because it's a real person, any research you might have done that helped you to portray him.
The film is so beautiful to me because it's about, you know, as I say, it's about a kind of creative friendship. My job really was to, I felt, was to support this extraordinary central performance, and it was really easy for me to just establish a relationship with Ethan so quickly, and just to watch this incredible sort of transformation. I think both of us are people who come from the theatre and understand what it's like. Those nights are so heady, and for me it was just about really being present. The script was really very beautiful, and it's about how we could sort of choreograph it. Choreography is such a big part of what I think makes this film so special. Is how you make the room and the atmosphere interesting. And I love the idea that it's a sort of there's a real love story. So many of us have the biggest loves of our lives are our friendships, and this friendship was born out of work. And I love the idea that it's sort of a work film too. They're completely obsessive. What they talk about is stories and creating stories, and that is the way people within the industry, even though that's not what we talk about a lot in the media, that's what we spend our time doing, which is talking about what do we like, how do we create this, that's actually what these people do, and they become known, they become famous names, but actually what they spend their time doing is talking about making stories and being kids, really. So that was what was very special about it for me.
Thank you. Margaret, maybe before we move on, you could tell us a little bit about how you prepared for this role?
Sure. I don't know, I guess when I was like 16 or 17, trying to figure out who I was, I turned a lot to Richard Linklater and Ethan Hawke movies as a part of figuring that out. So for me, it was like very surreal to have the opportunity to work with them, having grown up on their films and their collaboration. And so to prepare for this, I just did what they told me to. I watched and learned and talked to them, and we did rehearsals, and it was a beautiful, humbling experience.
Thank you. We have a question in the back. Yeah.
Lida Ba, freelancer. I have a question for Mr. Linklater. The movie's title is Blue Moon, which is, of course, the most famous song by Lawrence Hart at the time the movie recreates, but it's also a song title that's explicitly criticized by Hart as an example of how he's forced to tone his art down to make it more accessible. How far would you say that you either avoid or are forced to commodify what you do to make it approachable?
Not at all. You know, it's funny to think, like, Larry Hart was born at the right time. They were making so many shows, his specialty. He wrote 1,000 songs for these shows. They were so workmanlike. They were blessed to get to do so much. And I think the commercial, he's telling that joke we learned at the end over the practically the very end of the movie that Blue Moon was actually from Hollywood. That was one of their gigs there. It didn't originate on Broadway. And yeah, it changed the name. You can watch an early version of that song in another movie, and it has its own commercial history, let's say. But, you know, yeah, they were professionals, but within professional work, so much beautifully inspired. If you're an artist, you're going to express yourself when and where you can. I mean, to answer your real question, I don't think I've compromised much at all over the years. I don't. You know, we have no pressure. It's a low-budget film. We do whatever we want. I don't, you know, I didn't, there's no, I mean, I don't know. I don't have complaints about compromise. You know, it's just like, you hope everybody likes the movie, but there was no, you know, test screenings or any of that. You hear the horror stories. And the film industry can be an interesting collision between art and commerce, but I've largely been spared that over all these years.
Okay,
that's because you never make anything commercial.
Yeah, there's that. They gave up on me a long time ago.
We have time for one more question, and it will be over there. Yeah.
Kerstin Legenzer from German television RTL. I've got a question for Mr. Hawk, and you are so long in the movie business now. Which advice do you have for young actors in the movie business?
I don't know. Advice is worthless unless asked for, you know. See, anybody who thinks they have so much to offer. It's interesting that Margaret's answer to that question had such humility to it, and I often think that young people don't understand exactly how much they're giving and how much we all build on each other. It's a wonderful compliment that she would have watched those movies and be inspired by them, but we were inspired that she cared about this movie and brought her whole self and her artistry to that. And I think about that with a lot of the young people in my life, how important it is they value themselves because they're giving so much. Their ideas are new. Nobody else has been alive at this particular moment with being born of this generation, and their work is absolutely essential. And so I learn from people like Margaret and people who are younger as much. So, but it's really true. It was very inspiring to see her absolute commitment, her commitment to the idea and her commitment to follow through on it. And one of the things that's super hard about what we do is it's just not always rewarding. You have to be so patient for so long to have 3 days of a thrill, you know, but you have to work on yourself and work on your craft to be ready for when those opportunities present themselves. And then you have to be humble enough to show up and do all the boring stuff to have these moments. And I was so impressed that she was so committed. I hope that speaks for the way that younger people are attacking their work now. It was really exciting for me. So.
Okay, thank you very much.